Hello. How things?
Hi, Maeve. I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, yeah. We're just here, I suppose, this evening, Cara, to talk about the project, the website, and how to find out how everything's going. So, it was just really to run through from an e-commerce perspective, and so if you want to tell us a wee bit about the business and where did the idea originate from?
Okay. So yeah, I started Willow in around the summer of 2019. So just before COVID. I think a few weeks before I came up with the idea, I was actually doing, would you believe, a wardrobe clear out. And I was looking at my wardrobe and seeing how many dresses I had that I had only worn once or twice max. During that wardrobe clear out, it suddenly dawned on me that dress rental would be a really good idea. So I investigated it a wee bit, looked at if there was if who was doing it in the surrounding area, who was doing it throughout the country, what way they operated, and also was there a market for it, and if it made sense. At the time, and there still is a lot of focus on the environment, on climate change, on fashion sustainability, on things like that. So of course I went off and started doing a lot of research into those bits and pieces, and I discovered that this idea that I thought up of could actually work. So then I started going about buying dresses. And yeah, buying lots of them,
Yeah.
nearly breaking the bank and nearly having a divorce with my husband. So I had the space, I had the dresses. So what next was I needed a website, and I
Yeah.
needed somebody to guide me on that. So I asked you to build this website for Willow Designer Dress Hire, as it was then.
Yeah, and I think at the early stages it was very much about the brand more so than the functionality because I think you were sort of feeling your way with it as well, weren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, as I said, dress hire wasn't really being done at that time. There was very few places throughout the whole country that were actually doing it. So I wanted to see how it was going to take off before I really started to invest in a website. So I think what we come up with was like a brochure website rather than a full e-commerce website, just to see, because websites are expensive,
Yeah.
and I wanted to know whether this idea was going to take off before I started to invest in a full e-commerce website.
How did it evolve from then, or how did you get on in those first few years?
Yeah, well, so initially it was just people making an appointment by contacting me either by phone or by email, or more often than not with social media and messaging. So that's how they made their appointment. They would come to me to the studio, pick a dress, then come back just before their event, and they would collect their dress to wear to their event and then leave it back, and all that was done in person. At the time I was very much of the opinion that you had to try a dress on to make sure that it fitted and to make sure that you liked it. So I didn't do any postal deliveries at all. But as time went on, there was more and more people from the likes of Cork and Kerry and further afield that were actually asking me to post dresses to them. And at the start I was like, no, I don't think that would work. My studio's in Uri, if you want you can come. And very many people did. They came
Yeah.
from, yeah, they came from all over the country. Like I've had girls from Galway come, and it was good that way. But there was definitely, I was missing out a trick, and I knew that by not couriering dresses and by not having the website where people could go on and actually book their dress via the website. So and also the other thing was, there was a lot of girls coming to me and they booked a dress. However, they were also talking to me about the amount of dresses that they had in their wardrobe themselves from previous weddings or events, and they didn't know what to do with them. And every day of the week I was getting asked, either in studio or on social media, if I would buy dresses off them. And I was like, no, I don't know you. I'm not going to send you money for a dress, and it maybe never to arrive. So I knew from talking to people, from listening to my customers, I knew that there was a lot of dresses out there, and that were in perfect condition that people wanted to do something with. So as time went on, I thought the next step up in this dress rental era was to actually create a peer-to-peer rental platform whereby users could go onto the website and actually rent out their own dresses. Post-COVID, that year or two post-COVID, things just absolutely took off, and the business just flew. It was really hectic in the summer of 2021, 2022, and I just knew that this was going to be it was good business opportunity, and the next step then onwards was to develop a peer-to-peer platform. So then again, went to you, Maeve.
For the conversation, well, I was like, I don't know if I'm mad in the head. But,
yeah.
but I think very much so. I admire you so much because I think you very much like align with how we do things, where you just learn organically from your customers. You don't stand into something without proper thought and research and development. And I think that's where we naturally collaborated so well. There's such a strong link between technical development and actually what's going on the ground and how the two impact each other. So, and the reason I'm talking about that, I suppose, is when we initially started with you and you said, right, I'm going to do this, that customer journey mapping session we had, which I think was one of the most favorite things I've ever done. And Paul, you might agree with that. It was just brilliant, couple of hours, and it was tough, don't get me wrong. And it was, I think, I was looking at you at the end thinking, oh my word, she's totally overwhelmed. She doesn't want to do this. But I think it was totally worth it. We did a lot of sort of competitor analysis, and we looked further afield than just locally. We looked at customers, we looked at their behavior online and offline. You know, I suppose we pulled the whole thing apart and put it back together. And that's what we love, because we don't touch development of anything until that's done. So just on that, you know, what did you find that, you know, you learned most out of that session, or what came out of that for you?
Yeah, well, I suppose, as you said, great link between the technology and actually what happens on the ground. There were a few bits and pieces that you had said, things like location of the lenders, how that could impact, how Brexit could have an impact on my business, things like that I really never thought of. The photography side of things, how was I going to make sure that this website was going to be clean and just like luxurious looking for the user. You know, the photography was going to be a key. The mechanisms like filtering and what to filter by, things like that. Like everything you had explained things really well. You had really explained the pros and cons of different elements that I had to consider, like buffer periods, things like, you know, how long it was actually going to take me from getting a dress rental out the door for the renter to rent it, and then for it to come back to be cleaned, how much of a buffer period I was going to have to leave on the calendar on the website. Things that I really didn't think about.
You said we had to look at it from the 2 points of views, where there was Willow owned dresses and then there's lender dresses, and how those lenders are going to sign up to the website, and what that whole process, I think, was going through that bit by bit was absolutely crucial for the progress of the website.
And I think from your point of view, Paul, just pulling on the technical side of things, like what, you know, have you anything to add in terms of like how you found the project or what you found most interesting?
Yeah, I think like for me, it was something completely new that I've never worked on before, really. Like that peer-to-peer lender platform, I thought was just really, really exciting, really good to kind of get my hands stuck into it. I think also another thing that we did look at was like automation a lot, to make things easier for Cara and for Willow on your end to manage calendars. So once someone rents a dress, that it would automatically be populated into your calendar. So you can just reference that calendar to know what dress is going out when and for how long and to who. rather than having to obviously manually write that down. I think you're saying you're writing it down in like a diary.
Yeah.
Mhm. So creating
Yeah,
those
I use that calendar daily, like it is my Bible now. I don't even have a notebook anymore.
Oh, way.
It's all on my phone.
I remember you saying that to us as well. You said, I remember being like, you need to be really strict with this. Like, that's one thing we're really adamant about when you develop a website. You treat it as such, you treat it as your Bible, and all your
Yeah.
should come through. And I remember you being reluctant about that because you were like, well, I normally, like, make appointments maybe through DMs or people call
Mm,
me or message me or whatever. And I was like, well, if you're going to invest heavily in your website, well, wipe that all out and do it all
yeah,
on the site.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
think that's probably one thing that you wanted to develop really well as well, Paul,
yes,
was that sort of procedure of booking and renting and lending, like all of that had to be streamlined.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, we did add the book an appointment um product as well to the website, so users can go on and book an appointment in the studio to obviously go in and try on dresses. And we made the decision to put a cost against that. Um,
That was
just
a big decision for me,
Yeah,
whether to charge people for appointments. And I think it certainly there was a few reasons why I decided to do it.
yeah,
Because the main one being no shows.
yeah,
I've seen the number of no shows have drastically reduced.
yeah.
It
I'm
still
glad.
does happen, like, but
Yeah,
I'm £10 up.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But
yeah. No,
I was, if I had put it in place years ago, I would have, it would have changed, because I've learned by doing them manually what information you need to extract from your customer whenever they're booking an appointment: their size, their event date, and basically where they're coming from, for directions and things like that. So all that there, you've built in all that to that automation, and within a quick click of a button, I have all that information on my phone.
yeah. And I think that, but it is that innate understanding that you have of your customer that not necessarily everybody has because they're not necessarily on the front line. And that's sometimes what we
Mm-hmm.
find is, you might have a bigger organization that they're not maybe dealing with the customer on the front end.
Yeah, yeah,
And therefore, when we develop the site and then you launch it, and then there's things that maybe they didn't consider because you're
yes.
dealing with people that aren't on that front
Mm-hmm.
line. So I think
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what's lovely about it.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of how we develop the site, I think the one thing that we just back to customers because we're pretty obsessed with that. But the one thing
Yeah,
that we
it's all
always
about.
say, we always say it's about how they think and they feel and they do. That's kind of our three standpoints. So I think from the point of view of what we wanted them to think about when they were on the site was this is really easy to use. It's not, daunting. It's not any different to shopping on any other website for a dress.
Mm-hmm.
We did think that this is a pretty new concept. So like people are used to maybe renting, but they're not necessarily used to renting off other lenders. And I think then in terms of how they feel, as you alluded to before about that premium look and feel, and like we can't take any credit at all for the images. Like you spent so many hours on those images, and like that was incredible. But I think it was well worth it because it can make or break a website, and we wanted people to feel like that. We wanted them to feel like it was a trusted site, and that
Mm-hmm.
was one of the big things I think Paul and you'll agree with this. The product pages to make sure that they were really premium feeling, and it didn't feel like something that you would maybe mistrust because it was such a new concept.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think that's kind of where we were coming from with that. And then finally, I think just the do, we understood that people will only lend out their dresses or rent from a lender if it's easy, as I said. So we want them to do like take action in the site, and in order for that to happen, the customer journey has to be smooth. So it can't be like, and that dictates, I suppose, Paul, and you can add into this, that dictates how many times that we try to drive a person to say, oh, have you considered lending? Instead of just renting, like you can lend your own dresses, and all of a sudden you convert people who are just on the site for a browse to start to consider, oh my
Mm-hmm.
word, I didn't realize that you could do this also. So
Yeah.
that was really important for us as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think like that sign up process of a user becoming a lender was a big part of it. Like we said in that workshop of the user journey. So that was one of the user journeys was converting a user to a lender. So once that form is submitted, obviously Cara will get notified, and either she approves it or she can deny it. If she approves it, then that product is created automatically and it
Yeah.
goes straight into the shop and
Yeah.
into the right category with the right filters,
Yeah.
with the right brand associated with it and the images that have been approved. It goes straight onto the product or onto the product page,
Yeah.
and that lender get notified then saying that your dress is live and
Yeah.
people can start renting from you. So that automation again just speeds up that whole process and
Yeah.
just the ease of use of getting a product live. It's
Yeah.
just so quick. From cars end as well, so instead of manually having to go through and change a lot of information on those products or having a back and forth with that user.
Yeah.
It's just quick and simple.
One of the most challenging things for us, I think, and for you, Cara, was to not make people feel that they were put off or their dresses weren't good enough, but equally trying to protect what you have and the stock that you have on the site.
It's difficult, but at the end of the day, people are going to rent dresses that are maybe too expensive or would make them think twice about buying. That's the reason why they rent. So I only stock brands that are sort of mid-tier designer. They're not high street. They're not the likes of Dolce and Gabbana or Gucci, but they're sort of maybe in between that £300, £400, £500 to buy mark. Like the whole ethos of the business is around fashion sustainability and being sustainable in everyday choices, including what you wear. So the high street fashion brands that are not sustainable in any way, I just say no to any request that comes in that is attached to any high street fashion brand. I have to stay true to myself. I don't want to lower the quality of the website or the brands that we stock. So yeah.
And in terms of that sustainable brand as well, I think you touched on something there. Do you feel like people are like, even when we first started out and we were assessing competitors even locally, like there's over 20 dress rental shops, I think, or store brands in Ireland now at the moment.
Yeah,
that has grown significantly from the time that we looked at it. So do you think that sustainable ethos is definitely obviously really, really important now to people and to younger and younger demographics?
Yeah,
the re-commerce statistics that are coming out now as well, re-commerce being people that are renting and lending online versus buying, is huge, and I think it's only set to grow phenomenally in the next couple of years. But do you think that sustainable thing is really, really important to people now? Yeah,
sustainability has really been a key word over the last 3 or 4 years, whether it's in the media or just whenever you're talking to people generally. I think even more so since COVID as well. I think people are really looking into how they live their lives, and whenever I first started doing the business, there was one other dress hire in Northern Ireland, not very many down the south either. Now every day of the week I'm seeing new dress hire businesses come forward, which is great because it just goes to show you the level of interest there is in renting. If there was no interest, people would not be doing this, and that's because people are really starting to think, oh, do I really need to spend £300 or £400 on a dress that I'm only going to wear once or twice? There's far better things to spend £300 or £400 on. And with the cost of living, etc., these days, I think price is really one of the key pointers as to why people would rent. But I think the other main thing is being sustainable and not having your wardrobe full of once worn dresses.
Do you think it presents a challenge though for the brands that are originally selling the dresses now? Because I notice, even the likes of big name brands in the UK are starting to have like a rental arm of the business as well.
Yeah, and
their business models as well as
they're all changing because they can see what way it's going. So it's, I suppose, choice is key as well, you know, but the likes Rixa, one of the biggest brands out there at the minute, and Nadine Morabi, they are all doing rentals. So it just goes to show you how well it has taken off. But I think, you know, in Ireland, the one thing that really hasn't been done before now is the peer-to-peer side of things, and allowing people to actually rent out the dresses that are sitting in their wardrobes. That hasn't been done, and it'll be interesting to see how that takes off over the next couple of years as well. It's such a new thing here that we need to educate people and to tell people that it's available. So getting the word out there is also, it's a hard thing to do, but we'll try to, you know, push it and educate people as well, and hopefully people will latch on and start renting out their wardrobes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've noticed, we've obviously noticed a growth in that even since the website first launched. I think there's up to 50 lender dresses now, I think, at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And do you find that process, are people finding it difficult to get used to it, or any challenges with that at the moment, or anything you talk us through? I think, as you say, it's probably very much about an education piece there.
Education, yeah, really need to show people what it is I mean by becoming a lender first of all, and then, you know, educating people so that they can see what style and types of dresses that we want them to lend out.
So, Paul, in your opinion, you know, what was the most challenging part of the project? You know, what did we really want to get right, but from a technical point of view was really tricky?
Yeah, I think probably one of the most important bits was the calendar functionality on each product, each dress. Obviously, we came to the conclusion that we wanted predefined days or durations that you can rent the dress out for. So that was 4, 7, and 10. Obviously, Cara, that came from you. It's like the most requested durations that you got from your clients or your customers. Um, so we wanted to make that really easy for whenever Cara was adding new products herself, or whenever a lender was adding a product, that those days would be pre-selected and you didn't have to create those days yourself. Um, so then whenever a user is going through and seeing what dates are available, and whenever they select a date, they get the option of choosing 4 days, 7 days, or 10 days. And then that will highlight on the calendar then to show them when they would receive the dress and when they have to return their dress by as well. And once they select those dates, we then have to add in the buffers either side. So 3 or 4 days at the start of it to give time for shipping. And obviously to give time for, if that dress was rented out beforehand, we needed to know we have those 3 or 4 days for that dress to get returned and get cleaned, and then obviously get ready to be sent out again. So that was probably one of the most challenging bits, as well as the lender dashboard. So obviously the lenders was a big part of the website. We had to create a dashboard for the lenders to be able to log into, to be able to see their orders for their dresses, and to be able to add new products as well. So once they add their initial product and they get approved, we obviously have the ability they can add further products then on top of that, and that approval process again, making that really simple. So once Cara approves that, it goes straight onto the website again. Another aspect was the ability for a user to block out days that that dress will not be available. For example, if a lender's going on holiday, or you know they're taking that dress out themselves or wearing it, whatever, we need to give that ability that they can block out the calendar, that renters can't then book on that date for that product. And the same goes for Cara as well, and Willow own dresses. If someone comes into the studio and rents out a dress in studio at an appointment, Cara then has the ability to go into that product online and block out those dates, so that won't be available then for a renter.
Yeah, because I think that was one of the trickiest parts for us, was to try and treat the renter very different to the lender. And, you know, as in, somebody that was renting a dress has very different requirements, and it's more about trust, whereas somebody lending, it's more about functionality and about like what's on their dashboard and how do they transact and how do they make, obviously they're there to make a wee bit more money on the side and all as well. We have to be mindful of that. So how to make that process seamless and encourage them to come back to rent another or lend another one as well. So it is a circular economy, and that's what we all know. But from a website point of view, a marketing point of view, if we don't keep getting them back and making it easy for that circle to keep going, I think that was one of our biggest challenges with the site.
Trust is the main thing. Trust that they're going to get the product on time. Trust that it's going to be in good condition and quality. And trust that they're going to get their deposits back whenever they're finished their journey. So trust is a huge element of a dress rental business. And I think, it's my business. I'm always the one that's on the end of the phone or on the end of the email. Yes, I do have help, but it's mainly me that does all that. People know that whenever they ring through to the mobile number on the website that they're going to get through to me. And I've had people ring a few times whilst they're doing an order on the website, just to make sure that everything's going okay, because website sales and online, okay, it's very busy and it's a way forward these days, but who are you sending your money to? You just want to be sure. So, and also people can see from my social media the amount of people who have rented from me. They can see that they are real people, so even that alone is showing that they can trust this business. You're not just seeing wee snippets of models wearing a dress. You're not just seeing the dress on, you're seeing actual people, real people wear the dresses. So I think that helps to build trust as well. Some of those images may not be the most professional, but whenever it comes to building trust, I think those images do such a good job. And particularly whenever you see one person coming back time and time again, people can see that, okay, you can trust this girl.
Exactly. It is about building that community, isn't it, really?
I think that was another part of the product page as well on the website, whereas we wanted to show a gallery of images where that dress has been worn and who it's been worn by. So further down on that product page, you can then see the amount of images that people have worn it. So it does give across that trust that it's been sold or rented before to other users.
And I think the brand, just going back to the brand before we sort of finish off, it's just as important to have that brand built and the premium look and feel and the effort that goes into the visual identity of the site, never mind the technical aspect, because you'll never build trust. You could have the best website in the world, but you haven't built your brand, and that's what you've done really successfully, Cara. And honestly, I really do so inspired by you, because you've built that out of literally nothing, and it's all down to you, as you say, and if you don't build that trust from the beginning, then your reputation, you forget about it. As I say, you could build the best tech in the world, but you have to have that brand and protect that brand with your life.
Just to add to that as well, we made the decision that if there is any disputes or if a user wanted to contact a lender, that would go through Cara as well, just so we know they would definitely get a response to build up that trust. And if there is a dispute, that there's someone there to manage it. Because we know there's other platforms where users are able to contact a lender directly, but we wanted to have that managed, just to kind of build up that trust and know that it is going to be taken care of.
Yeah, that was actually a big one I didn't think of there.
I was just about to say that.
That we didn't think of, because I think we didn't want people to get carried away as well, and then you would have a scenario where potentially people were getting tortured, as does happen on the internet. So I think that was one of the important elements. So Cara, just to finish off, we've no doubt your business is going to be massively successful. It already is. I think we're excited to see where the peer-to-peer obviously grows and how that grows and how you develop. But have you any thoughts or big grand plans about what you want to do? Or
I think this time last year, whenever I was thinking about this and thinking whether to invest in this business, I sort of saw the peer-to-peer side as being like the top of where you can go in terms of dress rental and fashion rental. I mean, this business, there is nobody else in the country doing this business. There's 3 different strands to this business. You have the peer-to-peer, you have the online orders, and then you have the studio face-to-face appointments. Nobody else is doing that. It's huge, you know, it takes a huge amount of time investment, you know, everything to sort of grow that. So I'm only at the early stages. This only you know, released in November last year. Already there's 50 dresses on the peer-to-peer, more than 50 dresses on peer-to-peer. And now, as I said, it's all about education and telling the country that this is what they can do to their dress, for their dresses, for their own wardrobe, and to make a bit of money on the sideline as well. So it makes sense. So that's over the next 3 to 4 years. That's really where I'm focusing, is the peer-to-peer side of things, and really trying to drive people to the website and driving them to fill in that become a lender form, and then getting other people to actually rent from them. So yeah, watch the space.
It's like that. I do a little dance every time I say your stories, and it's like lender, or you know, like the lender dress, and I'm like, oh no. We can't wait to see your business grow even further, and we'll be with you every step of the way and watching it grow. And I think the sky's the limit for you. I really do. I think now that you have the tech there and you've got the platform built, it's only a matter of, you know, enhancing your brand awareness, growing your community even further than what is there at the moment, and I suppose encouraging people to trust. And I think as the brand grows, the trust will just come with it, because people will have great experiences, both on the site and with you and your business. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing how things go.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Maeve, and thanks, Paul. Yeah, could not have been done without you two and your team and your patience. But it's been great. You've been both really professional and diligent, and yeah, couldn't have worked with a better team. Thank you so much.
Not at all.
Thank you.
I can't take credit for all that sort of stuff.
It's been such an exciting project to work on. It was like really, really good to work on, something different, and it's really interesting. So yeah, we're really, really glad it's turned out really well.
Yeah, so thanks a million, and thanks for taking the time this evening. So
not a bother.
Enjoy your evening, and we'll chat to you soon.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I know we're looking for digital DNA for this project, so yeah, better get a mention of that. But yeah, coming along to the awards, so yeah, we'll see you there.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks a million, Maeve. See you, Paul.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye bye.